Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. And of course, a lot of things are going on in the world and around the world. So we'll be talking about those here on World Edition. The British Prime Minister says the killing of three girls must lead to fundamental change. UK may change terrorism law after the Southport attack, according to Keir Starmer. And of course, the man did plead guilty to stabbing of three children to death at the Taylor Swift themed event, that being the person that was charged with that crime and all along those lines. And I believe the gentleman's name was Axel Radicabana. And some folks are asking how much did the authorities know about the Southport killer. And the start of Prince Harry's court battle with Murdoch papers is delayed. Murdoch's News Corp offers Prince Harry's settlement to resolve a year-long lawsuit. So we'll see whether that is taken or not taken and all along those lines. But that is something that is being reported in the news on this particular day. And at least 66 are killed in the fire at a ski resort in Turkey. So that is something that folks are talking about coming out of the Asian theater and all along those lines. And three Israeli hostages and 90 Palestinians freed as Gaza ceasefire takes hold. So Palestinians are finally able to return to their Gaza homes, only to find them reduced to ruins, according to what NBC News reported, and all along those lines. So even the Associated Press said that the Palestinians confront a landscape of destruction in Gaza's ghost town. And man confessed to brutal murder in France after over 20 years on the run, living under false identities. So these were a group of men that had done that and all along those lines, but they had been living under false identities, and now they've confessed to this brutal murder in France that took place over 20 years ago. And Israel embarks on an extensive military operation in the West Bank. Israel Army raids Jenin in West Bank. Gaza ceasefire is holding, and 6 Palestinians were killed as Israeli forces launched a major operation in Jenin. And European CEOs are reacting to Trump 2.0. Some are saying it'll be a shot in the arm for business, and CEOs also issue a stark warning on Europe's future and the new Trump era as WEF gathers steam. Ursula von der Leyen warns on fracturing global economy after Trump tariff threats. And of course, Trump is still threatening that global trade war. And there is some talk that Europe must unleash a radical alternative, that according to The Guardian. South Korea's Yoon defends his martial law decree in his first public appearance since his arrest. So he has shunned questioning it as security tightened after the court rampage on yesterday. So he's defending his actions in that particular case that's going on as well. And Israel's military chief is to step down over the October 7th attack. So Israel's top general resigns over October 7th failures as it launches a major operation in West Bank. So IDF chief Hersi Halevi is to resign in March and cites the military failure on October 7th. Taiwan quake spurred DSMC plant evacuations in Allen South, and it looks like that might have injured about 27 in that particular case and all along those lines. So like I said, there's a lot going on in the world. Let's get to some U.S. news, including the first ever blizzard warning issued along the Gulf Coast as deadly winter storm slams south. So Texas snow map shows counties facing blizzard warnings, and there's even some very cold weather here in Durham, North Carolina, where I'm at. It's about 22 degrees. The last time I checked the temperature, it might have gone up, but I don't think it's supposed to get above freezing today. And Trump executive order calls all federal employees back to the office 5 days a week. So Trump's day one executive actions include federal hiring freeze and a return to office directive. So definitely it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and how the Trump executive orders will affect DC area federal workforce. So definitely that's something that folks will be paying attention to as well. And Trump pardons ex-Proud Boys leader Tario and commutes the sentences of the Oath Keepers. So definitely it looks like Trump is pardoning the January Sixers who assaulted the police, and definitely it'll be interesting to see what goes on in this space as well. As he mulls a run for Ohio governor, it looks like Ramaswamy won't be serving on Trump's government agency Doge anymore. So he has quit the Doge cost cutting program, leaving Elon Musk in charge. And some folks are asking, did Elon Musk remove Vivek Ramaswamy from Doge? And everybody wanted him out apparently after his H-1B rant and everything like that. But it does look like he will be running for governor of Ohio. And like I said, there was a number of these executive orders that were put out there, and it'll be interesting to see what folks have to say about these executive orders as well. And of course, Southern California is bracing for the latest threat of extreme weather because there's definitely a lot of extreme weather that's going on and all along those lines. And LA braces for a fire risk from the bone dry winds as the winter rains lag. So definitely that's something going on in the news as well. And Trump has fired Millie and Andres from council positions in overnight social media posts. So Jose Andres is being fired by Trump, but apparently he was saying his 2 year term was already up. And some Trump is also saying agencies should fire all bureaucrats, and it looks like he started the purge with Midnight Truth social firing of Chief Jose Andres and General Mark Milley. And of course, the Border Patrol agent was recently killed in a Vermont shooting. So, two dead, including a U.S. Border Patrol agent, following a shooting in northern Vermont. So, that actually happened near the Canadian border, not near the Mexican border, and all along those lines. And Elon Musk is igniting online speculation over the meaning of his hand gesture, because some people are saying that it was a Nazi salute and all along those lines. And some people are just saying that he was trying to give energy to the crowd and all in that kind of way. And Trump orders the U.S. exit from the World Health Organization. So that's one of the other things that is going on. So Trump declares the U.S. will withdraw from the World Health Organization. So no longer will the U.S. be part of that. And he also signed an executive order ending birthright citizenship and other immigration action. So definitely all of this was going on as, of course, he was getting around and attending his various inaugural balls as well. And he brushed off the TikTok national security concerns while calling for a 50% deal. And Trump has touted TikTok a lifeline, but apparently China is not happy. China does signal that it is open to a deal keeping TikTok in the U.S., and I believe that ban has been put on hold and everything. And Panama is rejecting Trump's vow to take back the Panama Canal. So Panama turned its canal into a moneymaker, and definitely U.S. Russia warns Trump against snatching the Panama Canal, and Trump's Panamanian aspirations are a canal to nowhere, according to the website War on the Rocks, and we'll be seeing what folks have to say about that as well. And Putin is destroying Russia and has to make a deal, according to Trump. So Putin is destroying Russia, and it looks like there's still this talk that maybe President Trump can end the Russia-Ukraine war in 100 days. I know originally he said he would do it on day one, but that seems to have gone out the door and everything like that. And by the way, Trump installs Doge within the White House, scrapping plans for an outsider task force. So Elon Musk Doge mandate is updating software and firing federal workers. So looks like he is doing that. And I think that there's even a lawsuit that is going against Doge and everything like that. And U.S. trades Taliban prisoner for American detainees Ryan Corbett and William Wallace. So two Americans freed by Taliban in a prisoner swap. So that was something that was going on as well, as the Afghan Taliban member was freed from U.S. custody in exchange for those two Americans. And Secretary of State Mark Rubio had his swearing in ceremony after he won confirmation and all along those lines. So he's one of those that is now officially in the cabinet and all in that kind of way. So getting ready to bring in Sasha Starr and Rick Rosner, see what they've got on their mind and all along those lines, because definitely a lot's going on in the world. Don't know if either of you two gentlemen watched the inauguration or did other things. I was actually saw some of the clips. I heard my mom actually talking about the rant, because apparently there were two kind of speeches that he gave, the official inauguration speech, which I guess people were saying was very mild and calm, and then he gave another one that seemed like it was one of his typical rambling ones, and all along those lines. But that's what I heard from relatives of mine. And then, of course, the other thing I was doing this weekend was watching the college football championship, which saw Ohio State beat Notre Dame, and all along those lines. But I know we've got Nick with us, so a lot of things going on in the world, including now we've got the 47th president in office, and he's putting out a lot of executive orders. And then there's been this whole question of whether there was a Nazi salute or not, and all in that space. So, any thoughts about the inauguration of the 47th president and what we can expect from henceforth on?
My wife has been limiting my consumption of Trump news for both our mental health. So,
oh, well, it's about time we're going to actually have some good change in America, because I think we're kind of tired of the old system where we spend things and they're called investments, and they're not investments. But what they should do is, Elizabeth Warren, she goes, well, I haven't got an investment. No. She should tell the truth for a change. Say, is it okay for the United States to go deeply in debt to support your ridiculous programs? Or they go on further. We create more regulations to destroy America. So let's go on further. So now you get somebody, hopefully will bring a group of people in that will stop the insanity that goes on in that part of the woods of Washington, D.C. And I still irk from the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation, who got overfunded by Joe Biden, $80 billion, who spends their day attacking small business plans to justify their jobs. Now, that's anecdotal evidence, just happened, something that I've seen. But I think what happens, you reproduce that all over the country 79, 80 million times, and you get Donald Trump in office. So, hey, you guys bought and paid for it. You got what you deserve. Next.
Well, Jatovi, I saw you had some questions, and the other thing I was going to ask is apparently Vivek Ramaswamy is on his way out the door and is going to run for the governorship of Ohio versus being the other person in charge of Doge and everything. So any thoughts on that, and just on generally what Nick said?
Nick said the same thing before everything took place. So let's get to the reality of what just happened.
Let's tell the truth.
So
just 80 million people said what I just said.
Just to point out, okay. Elon Musk did give a Nazi salute because Elon Musk is backing the AfD in Germany. The AfD in Germany has neo-Nazi ties. What Elon Musk did, if it were awkward, okay, but it's kind of a coincidence how he did it. It looked like a Nazi salute based on who he's backing and everything else, the history behind it. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Then let's go to the executive orders that Donald Trump went into action. So now he signed an executive order to overturn the lowering of prescription drug costs. That means prescription drug prices are going to skyrocket. Let's go to he's trying to end birthright citizenship. That right there is going to cause a lot of headaches in terms of who gets deported, because now we're going to have a national stop and frisk / so show me your papers act. That means anybody with melanin in their skin is going to have to watch out for what's going on. Also, we talked about this before because we talked about how our RFK was going to be detrimental to the actual healthcare in the U.S. because of the rise of the different outbreaks of diseases and so on and so forth that are actually taking place currently. Well, Trump just signed an executive order as well to pull us from the WHO. Well, that's going to hurt the healthcare in the U.S. Now, again, another executive order that Donald Trump signed. Remember, there was a ceasefire deal that got put in between Israel and Hamas that was supposed to stop the attacks in the Israel going on Israel Palestine between the Israelis and the Palestinians and Hamas and everything else. That was supposed to stop. Well, lo and behold, as soon as Trump was actually inaugurated, there were attacks in Gaza from Israel. Then even worse, Donald Trump's one of his executive orders was to lift the sanctions on the Israelis that were occupying the West Bank. Remember, Rick, we just talked about what was going on in Gaza is kindred to what's going on in the West Bank because the people feel the same. And we talked about how the occupation was the impetus for a lot of the fighting and wars that were going on. And these sanctions were cutting back on a lot of the issues that were happening in that region. And that powder keg has now been started again because Netanyahu, and actually those sanctions being lifted, there were attacks in the West Bank as soon as that was lifted while the aid was going to the West Bank. So now we have actions that are taking place based on what's going on with what this man is doing. So we have a problem.
Well, the West Bank is different than Gaza. West Bank is supposed to be shared space between Israelis and Palestinians, but the West Bank is the Israelis and the West Bank are like far right. They're like Israel's super MAGAs. They are very aggressive, and so it's a whole different, but also fairly awful situation.
And remember, those sanctions kind of cut back on what was going on. Removal of those sanctions means that is now going to start back up. That means part of this war, remember, the killing and everything was slowly coming to an end, but now it's starting back up. So now we have a problem based on what this president is doing.
All right, but let's go back to Ramaswamy for a second. So under Trump, we're not supposed to take into account race at all, but losing Ramaswamy means we're down to like one non-beige Trump appointee, I think, though we did lose a billionaire, so we're down to 13 billionaires in his cabinet. I don't know,
but remember, and that goes into another thing. If you look at again the executive orders this man is putting into place, he is removing the brown from our society. That is his goal. I mean, you have a neo-Nazi salute. You have what's his name, Stephen Miller in his as his director, basically giving him directions on where to go. Stephen Miller is a well-known white supremacist. So this is where we're headed. As much as people warned and said, hey, look, these are problems. These are things that he's saying he's going to do. And we were told he's joking. He really can't do these things. He's only saying this to rile his base. Well, he's doing that now. And I said on this air, I hope and pray that I am wrong. Right now, I'm being proven right.
Yeah. Sasha?
Well, I'd like to mention that a lot of black and colored people voted for Trump. So they just got whatever they were waiting for.
How about like a 20% increase? And it's funny though, the left, the first thing they do is they run to the race card. They don't look at some of the other things which you should really look at. The birthright citizenship. I don't know how he quote's going to repeal that. It's in the Constitution. So I think that's kind of a joke. Getting out of the WHO, I didn't see any reason for that. So if you stick to the issue,
Nick, can you explain the birthright executive order that he was signing versus what it is in the Constitution? Can you do that?
We have the 14th Amendment, Article 1, Section 1. If you go look at it, if you were born in the United States, okay, you're a citizen of the United States. And they did that right after the Civil War, so that people, if they're born in the U.S., could be able to claim citizenship. It's been in there for like 100 years, 150 years. So when you run an executive order saying I'm repealing it, things like that doesn't mean anything. I'm not even sure if he can pull us out of the WHO. So he signs a lot of executive orders that are yet to be seen. But the first thing you guys run to is the race card.
Nick,
because Democrats are they're a party of race.
No,
rather than the issues.
Nick, let me tell you the issue.
Every one of your elections
Let me tell you the issue.
And you antagonize half the country.
No,
well, I don't.
hold on. Let me tell you the issue. Now, remember, in his first term, there were people hunting for migrants. There were people hunting for migrants. In his second term, what did he start off
hunting for illegal immigrants?
Wait. He started off by going after immigrants again. Now, him signing this birthright citizenship thing, just as people have already said and people have already started, this is Trump's country. You better go home. People have sent letters to many African Americans saying you should report to the cotton field. So when we're talking about these things, there is a major problem. It's not just saying, well, the race card this or race card. No, there are people that are literally being affected because he is virtue signaling to his base, where his base is now building a list of people they're going after. It is not a mystery. It is not a figment of our imagination. These things happen. And
I want to point out we have a convicted felon. We have a convicted felon who just released 1,500 convicted felons who committed actually a violent crime against the White House. He released his fellows. Those are his fellows. Now imagine how loyal his subject fellows are going to be to the Lord and Master Trump. So now we have an army that he controls that have been unleashed, in America. He's talking about taking over other countries or other lands that belong to other people just because he likes them. Who does that remind you? And I want to point out something. If you guys really want to drive him under with his own subjects, just point out how stupid he is. That's going to be the only way you get him down. Don't pull the race card because that's going to shove you back. Don't pull all of these other sympathy cards. Don't pull the empathy, sympathy. Pull how stupid he is. And let me point out one area. When he was signing his executive orders yesterday, someone brought up TikTok just as they were signing the Alaska executive order. And he said, if you watch this, they're the dumbest, most stupid, ridiculous company in the world. Next sentence, as he's signing an executive order, I hope that we can partner with them. Okay. How stupid is it that you've got the dumbest, most stupidest company in the world that is making trillions of dollars a day off of, Americans, basically. And in the next breath, as you're signing the executive order to extend their ban, I hope we can partner with them. That, my dear friends, is the business mind of an idiot or a communist who wants to control everyone. So that is what we're dealing with. And that's what you need to point out. You can point out all this other stuff. The Republicans don't care. They don't. But when you start pointing out his stupidity, they will start paying attention. And that was a stupidity moment. There's a bunch of it.
I would like to take a look at the bigger picture.
I have a question. Well, I have a question for Sasha. So with the with the tariffs, should we be buying stock in U.S. companies?
In some, yes. In some others, no. It depends on what company and what business they are in and how this all affect the U.S. companies. But I would like to look at the bigger picture. Unlike in the first Trump administration 4, 6, 7 years ago, Trump was an outlier. He came on the top, probably by a fluke, maybe not, but still, he didn't have even much support in his own party. This situation is very different. Never mind his own party, never mind majority of Americans who endorse him. He now made a very strong union between the himself, which of course is the top echelon of the power in the United States, with Committee 20. Committee 20 is loosely 20 top high-tech entrepreneurs, headed, of course, by Musk, Thiel, and some others. And that creates absolutely unbeatable situation for many, many years. It's at least 4 years of Trump, and it's at least 8 years of J.D. Vance. Now, after 12 years, then we'll see what's happened, how the situation will evolve, or there could be even situations that there will be no more elections at some point, when there will be simply, you see, the Constitution doesn't work anyway already. So the Constitution at some point during Trump's presidency will be significantly changed. It's unavoidable. Now, Trump today has absolute power in all levels of government, the Supreme Court, the press. There's no independent press anymore, because whoever is somewhat democratically leaned, they will be destroyed, and very quickly. I'm talking about the real press, television station, and others, and even the internet sources, which are voicing some objections to Trump. All that will be closed, and very quickly, probably in a matter of 2-3 months. So this is where we are. You have to recognize it. You have to call the spade a spade. That's where we are. That's what happened to America. And now, if some people wish to find a way out of it, they may try, but it's very dangerous, and people will be liquidated, including physically.
Sasha's right. I mean, with everybody, many of the media companies already kowtowing to what Trump wants. There was somebody, I think it was a Times article. I didn't get a chance to read the Times article, but the gentleman was talking about how, are the Google searches now going to be, is the algorithm now going to change? Because if you type in something that might go against Trump, is that going to change? Because that can happen. So we are in a scary time, or a sad time, and we just have to be honest about it. We just have to be, again, right now, I've been proven right.
Yeah, Rick.
So Jon Stewart did a thing yesterday where he showed that the owners of the top 6 information providing companies, Google, Facebook, they were all at the inauguration.
Yep.
All our information sources are bending the knee to Trump.
Yep.
That seems to be what they're doing.
Except TikTok. No, TikTok was there, but
TikTok was there.
But and I find it odd that Trump was the one who pushed that needle to have them banned to begin with years ago. Yeah. And he pushed and pushed, and nobody addressed it. And then it got pushed even harder at the end of Biden, and then all of a sudden they got banned for a day. And then they gave credit to Trump for it coming back, and I don't think that had anything to do with it. Not the way it came back. I think it was a smoke screen, or I think it was a scam to make everybody believe Trump did it, because they brought it back the day before. And here's what's funny. All the TikTokers, they know it was a scam.
Well,
they don't give credit to Trump. It's hilarious.
If you look at actually when the TikTok ban went on, or when it happened, and this is also another odd thing about that ban, about the whole situation. Now, the TikTok ban, when it happened and people logged into TikTok, what was the first thing it said? it's banned in the U.S. Blah 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 blah
Sorry,
blah.
but Trump is coming into office.
Hold on, no, it said a little bit of that, but then when it came back, it gave Trump the actual credit for bringing it back. No company does that. No company gives a individual or president any credit from any company being banned across anywhere.
Before it happened, I snapshot I snapshot the both of them. I snapshot the one that said sorry you're gone, and now we're back. I snapshot both of them.
So no company does that. So that's propaganda right there, saying giving it to Trump. So 1.7 or the 70 some odd million users or however many million saw that are now thanking Trump or supposed to thank Trump. But even worse, here's where it gets really tricky. VPNs. With a VPN, you're able to look at things outside of the US. So basically, how they were blocking TikTok actually blocked the VPNs from allowing TikTok to happen. So therefore, TikTok, this was basically a propaganda ploy more so than anything to give Trump credit to that. Now that's going to bring that youth crowd or whatever behind him, because evidently even the president of TikTok was in Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. So there are problems, and there's a lot of stuff going on that we're going to run across coming up. We're going to be inundated with a lot of propaganda. It's just
speaking of propaganda, Toby, really quickly and everything. Are you ready? Because one of the other things that people were talking about was the way he was posing and the way he was positioned and everything. So there are already people kind of coming back to what Sasha was saying, even though they'd have to find a bridge candidate, that are speculating that in 17 years we will have President Byron Trump and everything. So there were a lot of people that were looking at where he was and where he was positioned at, and that maybe they are grooming him to be part of this.
It's not a presidency anymore. It's the lordship. It's a king. It has nothing to do with that. And I agree with Jacoby. All of this was being planned beforehand. But I think if I were the president of TikTok, I would have been a little angry at the way he was, making rude comments about my company, and that the only way to make it great is for America to take over. And that's pretty much what Trump said. I mean, I videotaped everything yesterday, and I made copies of all of those. Sorry, TikTok's gone. The VPNs, when you say that, and they did say some people got around with a VPN. I guess it depends on what country you routed through on your VPN, because you can route through different countries on your VPN. If you ever play with that on your TV set, it's kind of interesting how that works. I think that shows just how much control Trump and Elon and some of the other social media, kings that we have are really controlling us, and they did all of this, and I do think it was a scam. But most of the TikTokers, if you watch them, they know. They're saying, oh, yeah, let us thank Trump. No, kiss my, and then they stop it, but they don't like Trump for this, because they know he's the one. Most of them are intelligent, and they know that he instigated this, and they know this is about him wanting to buy it. And there was a Senate meeting just before it was taken down, and they said that they were hoping and holding things so that there was an American who could afford to buy it. And that's what this was about. And it was on the Senate floor. I have a copy of that as well. It was on the Senate floor where they said that they were holding things off and hoping that some American would come forward that could afford to buy it. But the president didn't have it up for sale. He didn't. So,
like I said, it might be
not going to have it up for sale unless it's one of his buddies, like Elon Musk.
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or somebody.
I don't think he's a buddy. That Chinese have a rule. Keep your friends close and your enemies in front of you closer.
So at various points, like liberals, each side claimed the other side's leader is falling apart physically. Looking at Trump yesterday, he doesn't look like he's falling apart. Thoughts on that?
No, he looked like he was in good health and
He
everything like
won.
that.
He won. And he just raised billions of dollars to have the biggest party in the country. Would you, even if you were dying, you would be up, jumping up and down and having a good time? I mean, it's a what do they call it? There's a medical term for it, but I call it that just rush of endorphins
Adrenaline.
of you won.
I
So
wouldn't even say that. Honestly, listen to what he says. Being loud, he's always been loud. He's always been, very vocal. That doesn't mean that he's in this great shape. That's just, I mean, if you look at everything that he says and how he says it and how he rambles or weaves, now that says more about his health than him actually giving a stage presence, which he's done his whole career. So I have to overlook if I'm looking at him, he looks okay. He doesn't look okay on a golf course. That fat man rolls out here and there. He doesn't look all that great when he's walking upstairs, leaving toilet paper on when he almost tripped into the truck. All that still happened. The problem is he was on stage yelling like he normally does.
Yep.
If you listen to what he says, that's where his mind is.
Well, and if you notice, most of it was about him yesterday, which is fine. He just won. That's great. But most of it was all about him. And, I foresee, that this is, he unleashed his army. He's released his army. People don't see that. He's signing agreements with Russia to reinforce their arms. I don't think a lot of people are watching that very close. Yes, Sasha.
What is this agreement about arms in Russia? I missed it.
I saw that yesterday before the inaugural. Someone had mentioned that he was encouraged in them to reinforce their arms.
Yeah, I've heard something like that.
I never thought about that, but it doesn't matter. I think it's much more productive to discuss the foreign policy of the United States under Trump than domestic policies.
Did you not watch? They did ask that question. He goes, "That's a big question. That's a big question. We can't. It's not an answer to that." You didn't watch that yesterday? I got a copy of it. Oh, that's too big of a question right now.
There are certain things that really to evaluate this situation, you have to know a little bit of a background, which has been in the news, but not in U.S. news. Apparently, there were some agreements between Russians and Trump before the election. And Russians were then, once he won election, they pressed him to deliver whatever the bargain was reached. And even not only pressing, they were even suggesting for Trump to improve his personal security because there could be some things happen to him that he should try to avoid if possible. And finally, now, just a couple of days ago, there was a Patrushev, who is supposedly second man in command after Putin. So he came up with absolutely bombastic and ridiculous accusation that Trump has to do this and that. And this is Trump got ballistic over Russia. Situation changed. About 20 years ago, John Trump Jr., he admitted that there is unproportional amount of Russian money involved in Trump organization or so on. And it was thrown out and Russians got him from the bankruptcy with no U.S. bank would touch him or so on. That's all true and it's all well known. Now situation is really changed. Even in the first his cadence, he was vulnerable to Russians, where he had to agree with Putin that Russia did not provide this information propaganda to participate in the first election of Trump or so on, and he went against FBI and CIA or so on. You know what? Right now, he will dismantle the CIA and FBI, and he will put all his 100% his loyal people there. So these organizations will be reduced to really nothing. However, what I'm going with all that is that now in the last few days, a bunch of this Committee 20 multi-billionaires, they created and helped him to do this new coin, Bitcoin. No, this is not Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. And Trump went up from his net worth probably close to $5 billion, maybe even less. All of a sudden, now he's worth $50 billion and growing. So thanks to this multi-tech multi-billionaires, he is no longer financially vulnerable. He is now financially very stable for first time in his life. So today he doesn't need Putin and Russians with all this ugly agreements and all this stuff. He doesn't need that. Thanks.
You know, Sasha, just FYI, that coin went up in price last night. And by last evening, it was up to $34.90.
Here we
So
go.
just, stock wise.
And his own 80% of this.
Right. But, if you notice, they sell a lot of product, right? They brand themselves very, very well. And they sell a lot of product. I mean, I kid you not. You could go out, get some stuff with Trump on it, and just start promoting it. Some swag from a dropship store, and you'll make some sales. I promise you will make some sales, whether you like it or not.
That's fine.
I mean, it's interesting to me how a name can carry so much weight, but a name that lies as much as he does. And, somebody brought this up last night, and this is something I have paid close attention to because I made copies of certain promises he made during his campaign. And one of the points he made was that he was going to end the wars if he was elected. From the day he is elected, he promised that he would end the wars before he took office. And as I mentioned yesterday, I'm not holding my breath because that ain't going to happen. And, people watched this yesterday. That's one of the things that they were monitoring is he going to end the war before midnight? And he didn't. So, you're going to see a slew of promises broken with a bunch of excuses. And every one of the excuses are going to be pointing blame at Biden. But, Biden's not there anymore. He's not part of the equation anymore. He's gone. You've come in as a powerhouse. From this point on, it's all on you.
No, he's still blaming Biden.
Everything. You eliminated the Democratic Party. You eliminated everything. So it's all on you. But this isn't going to be about that. He's going to slowly take over. And with his army and with Russia, because somebody asked about BRICS last night. I don't know how close you guys watched him signing the executive orders and the questions he got. But unfortunately, I was too into how he was going to respond to certain things. And he knows how to act. He knows how to connect. Like he threw the pins out to the crowd. And, but the thing is just because you signed those executive orders, you didn't read those to us. Some of his executive orders he did last time were stupid. Very stupid. He kept accusing Biden of not pumping, in Alaska. And he never did it himself because he signed an executive order that said we're not going to unless you use all materials made in America. Well, they don't do that. So it's just not going to happen.
So a few things, because I don't know. I got distracted for a second, but what Sasha was talking about the crypto stuff when we started there, he's trying to also sign the executive order to have the U.S. back a portion of crypto with the Federal Reserve stuff, which is another thing that's going to tank because the crypto goes up and down so fast. We're going to lose all your value and a whole bunch of stuff, and we're going to have to pay for it. But who's going to get rich? Those individuals that own that crypto.
No, you're right. We, the middle class, have to pay for it. The 2025 extension to the 2017 tax law that Trump put into place will now begin with them still getting their big tax cuts. But one of the things I did like what he said, and I'm holding his toes to it if I have to go to DC and tell him and remind him and play it back, is he's going to fire the IRS and send them to the border where they belong to enforce the border laws. I like that idea. I actually support it. I support it 100%.
Because that's another, he's taken away, the IRS.
He's not taking away jobs. He's not
the IRS. The only reason he's wanting to do that is because it protects his individuals who have a lot of money. The IRS, when they're underfunded and understaffed, they cannot actually do the big tax returns or do the investigations like they're supposed to on these individuals that are skirting our taxes in the first place.
So you know who they go after?
That's really why he's doing that or saying
they go after the middle class.
People. No, that it's not after
the middle. A lot of money. Do you know how much they spent going after me and didn't get a dime 3 different times? You know how much money they spent? Hundreds of thousands of dollars off of one person because they thought I couldn't win.
Again, it's easy to say, hey, I'm going to scare you middle class person because your tax return is 1 or 2 sheets. And oh my gosh, that's what they're coming after. But it's almost impossible for that same individual because you cannot have the IRS underfunded, understaffed to go actually after and look at individuals that have a lot of money and a lot of vested interests because they have larger tax returns.
But they never went after them.
They never went after them. Saying, hey, small business guy, we're coming after you. When if we underfund it, they can only go after the small businesses that have 1 sheets. They can't go after the big businesses that have multiple accounts and multiple things that they have to look at.
Well, get rid of it. Just go flat tax all the way.
No, flat tax will hurt the middle class.
No, it won't. It's the one time that you're not wasting money on things because of the tax cuts and the bins and the cuts and the cheats. You get rid of all of that and you get the money on a blockchain and put it where it goes.
No, it doesn't.
I think it's a beautiful idea.
The reason being, again, if you are understaffed, if us 5 people need to go after a company of 1,000 to 10,000 people and check their tax returns and their individuals in their income information, it would take us multiple years. To go after the mom and pop store, it would take us a day. So if we had more people to go after the multi-million-dollar business that owes multi-million dollars, that would actually that would help our country rather than the mom and pop that only has $500 that they messed up on their taxes.
I want to go back to crypto for a sec because crypto is going to be a thing under Trump, and people should know the terms pump and dump and rugging, which is a thing that this stuff happened for centuries before crypto.
Snoop Dogg did it. They all did it.
You buy a stock that's worthless, a penny stock, or you have a crypto that's worthless. You and your friends pump it up on the internet. You say, this thing's going to $1 million. And it goes up, and you and your friends, as it pops up, you sell. You pull the rug out from everybody else. And then you've got all the suckers' money because they bought in at higher levels. You're out, and the suckers are left holding, a handful of magic beans.
And Rick, that's what a lot of people are thinking that Trump's doing with his current investment.
Trump's net worth increased momentarily by $56 billion. Now, I think he's got a lock-in period where he can't sell for a month or so, but. If he's,
did anyone hear that all the money they raised for the inauguration party that about a couple million went missing?
All right, so first time around, 2017, they raised $106 million for parties and a parade. A bunch of millions went unaccounted for. Biden raised $65 million, which is still a ton of money, but this time Trump raised $200 million for a bunch of things, half of which were canceled because of the weather. So tens of millions of bucks are going unaccounted for.
I think a lot of those people still should have been paid, and I'm sure he'll report it, but I'm sure he convinced them they didn't deserve it because they didn't do anything. So I think that needs to be audited very tightly. If I were
they failed to audit it when he took in 106 million. That they will also fail to audit it this time. Who's
I mean, that's part of the. I mean, Rick, that's part of the problem, because even Elon Musk, there have been several people that are saying that there are folks that are upset because that's actually a lawsuit against Doge, because they are saying that there are severe conflicts of interest that he has with everything from X to SpaceX to Tesla to a number of other things. So there's actually, I think it was filed yesterday, it was filed recently, a lawsuit that is alleging that he's got a severe conflict of interest and everything. So
and you know what? People don't know this, but Elon has been funded by the government for years. For years, every one of those satellites were built with grants. Mm-hmm. Every time he went into space, he was put into space with grants. I know I worked on some of the projects of some of the spaceships going up. Everything he did was done with easy to get grants for him, but other people couldn't get if they begged for it. And now, Trump is like, and we're going to put man in space again, like, they haven't been in space. They have. You know what? Let's do something on Earth, and let's stop funding a trillionaire and start funding other companies, because that's what, they're not going to fund the small entrepreneur. That industry is going to go to the wayside. You're not going to get grants.
With Trump. All right. With Musk does money in the billions. Trump is more than happy to scam people out of millions and thousands. He has money-making schemes at all levels. Inauguration, maybe he's going to make 35 million bucks that'll somehow go into his pockets. He's happy to make 35 million bucks with his coins. If he manages to make a couple billion by pump and dump, happy to do that. And he's also happy to sell gold tennis shoes for $300 a pair and make a few thousand bucks off of that.
Yeah, don't invest in Trump anything. Did you guys know? Oh my God, I blew Irene's mind yesterday on the TV show. And I know I'm not supposed to bring up politics, but I think this one was justified. Did you guys know that Trump had sold off his condo units in his building, which means he still owns the building, to Hilton timeshares? He sold them off. And so then when he was out, doing president business previously in his previous years, he would go out and be promoting these places. And so one of the articles written about him was, is he the president or a timeshare salesman? Because he was out there, promoting, but he still owns the buildings. They converted them into these scams that they're doing. Hilton vacations being probably one of the biggest scams lately. But anyway, I thought that was interesting that, everything he's doing will promote his companies big time, very big.
Yeah, that's why when Sasha brought up the crypto coin that he brought up, yeah, that's why he did that, because and
I'm not staying at a Hilton ever again.
They did a crypto ball to celebrate Trump's crypto coin and nod to crypto. Yeah, because he's going to be giving them a lot of money, because those people.
Have y'all practiced the new Trump salute?
I mean, it's just we have an oligarchy now. I mean, I said this multiple times. That's what we have. We have America's first oligarchy.
What we have is America's first convicted felon as a president, who just released 1,500 of his fellow felons to serve him. And I don't think anyone sees that. I don't think anyone even pieced that together of how these people will serve him, because they served him previously when he was a sore loser. Yes, Sasha?
The people concept, it's not something that engraved in stone and it always will be like that. You have to always fight for this concept to succeed. And in the last election, American people, majority of American people, decided that the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, it's so much evil what they represent that it's better to have convicted felon and complete crook and criminal. It's a lesser evil than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's how Trump won, not because he's brilliant or anything like this, because people hated the another 4 years of either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. So this is the failures of their Joseph Biden presidency was not that they lost, that Trump was elected. And it's not just Trump. Okay, so 4 years of Trump. Okay, so 4 years later, we will come back to normalcy. No, America will never come back to normalcy. It's now oligarchic state. And there is no more we the people, because the power of people has been completely and not neglected, even I would say destroyed. Today it's a power of Trump and his oligarchy. They control everything, and the only thing that the people can say anything, if at all, is in 4 years. So in 4 years, Bill Stevens.
You also have the 2-year mark, because some people
hold
are
on.
the 2-year mark.
We've spent the whole hour bagging on Trump, and Sasha is right. We need to bag on Biden, who a complete failure of messaging from the Democrats.
But he's over. He's done. I'm not going to bag a man that's gone.
Okay, but there are some signs of hope. For instance, the balance in the House of Representatives is 215 Dems to 217 Republicans. It'll paralyze the House. It'll stop them from doing a lot of terrible stuff. And we may flip the House in 2 years.
It's not going to stop them from doing terrible things. They've been doing terrible things for centuries. It's just going to paralyze them for a while. But I think what we need to focus on as we the people is potentially dissolving both parties and getting a third party in that's strong and powerful, that speaks for the people and works for the people. And I think that that's going to be what's most important the next 4 years.
So it's an interesting concept, and I'll tell you why. Because all these congressmen and senators, they're all claiming that they represent American people. Okay. Now, if the parties that they represent dissolved, they don't represent anything and anybody. You see, this is a very interesting concept, but we'll see how it will develop.
The problem
until then, watch TikTok. It's very funny right now.
Yeah.
Literally, it's very funny watching them cuss Trump out for, pulling this trick on them. I think it's hilarious. So
I have to leave for Ukrainian show, and good luck.
And don't forget to watch Sasha's investment show, people, because you're going to need it in this storm that we're getting ready to enter into. What was it? Someone said to me yesterday, buckle up your seatbelt. It's going to be a wild one. So, and everyone be safe. Watch very carefully what's being said. It's like a contract. What you're being told is not what you're being sold. And I think we need to start documenting this a little bit better. Any other words of wisdom from you two?
No, I'm going to go poop. I have coffee in it. Every show is like a race between me and coffee to see if I can.
Maintain your daily constitution, everyone, and stand on your convictions. Take care.
Maintain your constipation and stand
on your constitution.
The first 4 years of Trump, I had diarrhea from nervous stomach, and I told my wife, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to nap through the next 4 years. I'm just going to take lots of naps.
I think I'm going to do something more. It just depends on what happens in the next 3 months. But I'm starting to fear the attack from the audits again, which I discovered came when he was in office last time. So I think I found.
Yeah, my wife is like, please do not do any more tweeting about anything because she's afraid of stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't tweet. So anyone, take care.
All right, bye.